Okay, so Pythagoras' theorem. So we use Pythagoras' theorem to prove if a triangle is a right angle triangle, and then also if we know that it's a right angle triangle, to be able to find an unknown side. So our theorem is that c squared equals a squared plus b squared. So what this means is that the sum of the square of the two shorter sides is equal to the square of the longest side, or the hypotenuse. We also have Pythagorean triples, which are groups of three positive whole numbers that satisfy that theorem. So they're three side lengths that always create right angle triangles. Okay, our worked examples. So this first one here, we want to label the sides of the triangle. So the side opposite the right angle is always our hypotenuse, which we call side C. Our shorter sides we then allocate A and B, and that is our triangle labelled. Okay, example 2, it tells us that during a heavy rainstorm, the road that Alice normally takes is flooded. She takes a detour. How much further does she now travel? So we've got sides A and B here. And so Alice now travels 3.6 kilometres plus 2.9 kilometres, which is 6.5 kilometres. We need to know how far was her original path, which we can calculate using Pythagoras. So c squared equals a squared plus b squared. So a squared is 3.6 squared plus 2.9 squared. Now to find c, we need to square root both sides to get rid of the square. So the square root of 3.6 squared plus 2.9 squared. We can then put that into our calculator to determine the square root of that. And if you want to evaluate what's underneath the square root first, you can, which would give you 21.37, or you can just go straight to the answer, which is approximately 4.62 kilometres. So that is the distance she normally travels. So how much further does she travel? Is the 6.5 minus 4.62. So she ends up travelling a further 1.88 kilometres. Okay, for example 3, we want to use Pythagoras' theorem to show that a right angle triangle can be created from side lengths 10, 24 and 26. So the first thing we're going to do is write down the theorem. So c squared equals a squared plus b squared. Now my longest side here is 26, so that has to be c. And then I've got a and b. Now 26 squared is equal to 676. And then 10 squared plus 24 squared is also 676. So because the left-hand side equals the right-hand side, that makes it a right-angled triangle. Okay, and our last example here is to determine the unknown length. So we label our triangle. So the hypotenuse opposite the right angle is C, and then we label A and B. I write down my theorem. So C squared equals A squared plus B squared. So 60 squared equals 45 squared plus x squared. Now I want x by itself, so I'm going to move 45 to the other side. So to move that to the other side, I need to subtract. So I minus 45 squared from both sides. So I'm going to have 60 squared minus 45 squared equals x squared. To get rid of the square, I need to square root both sides. So x is going to equal the square root of 60 squared minus 45 squared, which means that x is approximately 39.69 meters.